Hello there. Today we're going to look at the two most common tone woods for acoustic guitars, quite possibly in the world. We're going to look at mahogany versus rosewood, the advantages of both, the disadvantages of both, as well as which one would be best for you. It's always hard to choose, especially when it comes to prices. Rosewood is a little bit more rare than mahogany, so a lot of the times you'll see a higher price tag on a rosewood guitar. It doesn't necessarily mean it's better, it just means the wood costs more money. Knowing this, we're going to take a dive into the tonal properties of both, and we're going to decide which is best for you, as well as a couple anecdotes of similar tone woods but that are a little more versatile in their dynamic ranges. So to start off, here's mahogany. I'm using the Godin Fairmount in high gloss. This has a solid Sitka Spruce top, solid mahogany back and sides with a mahogany neck, Adirondack Spruce bracing, an ebony bridge, a Richlite fingerboard, GraphTech Tusq nut, saddle, and bridge pins. Very pretty sound. On the other side, we have the Seagull Artist Studio in a concert hall shape. Now this also has a solid Sitka Spruce top and Adirondack Spruce bracing, but now we have rosewood back and sides. We still get the mahogany neck with the Richlite fingerboard, ebony bridge, GraphTech Tusq nut, saddle, and bridge pins. The only differences here are, as I said, the rosewood. The nut width on the Seagull is at a 1.8 inch rather than a 1.72, which is on the Godin. And you get the distinct Seagull headstock shape. Everything else is the same, besides cosmetic differences. So now I want to discuss what these tone woods specialize in. Rosewood is a very dense, very hard wood. That's why it's used for fingerboards a lot of the time. But it's also used for acoustic back and sides. And that's because it gives you a lot of projection. The harder the wood, the wider its dynamic range is, the more vibrations it can amplify. So for the case of rosewood, you have this much dynamic range. And throughout that entire space, it's stretched out and balanced. It's a very good wood for unplugged playing, because it can get loud. In fact, this concert hall shaped body with rosewood has just as much boom as my old mahogany dreadnought. Significantly smaller body, the same beefy output. That's the power of rosewood. With mahogany, the dynamic range is shrunken a little bit, but it doesn't lose any of its tone. It's just its range is a little bit more limited. So you won't get the highs or lows of rosewood or the projection. But that middle ground right here is where mahogany is unbeatable. Mahogany in this dynamic range has such a woody, full, meaty, and soft tone all at the same time. It's quite impressive what mahogany can do. Most often used for fingerstyle. Because of its nature, you can get soft as well as gritty tones out of it. The other two tone woods I would like to mention, which have been getting a lot more use recently, they are American Black Walnut, which is similar to rosewood, and sapelli, which is very similar to mahogany. Now, the American Black Walnut, compared to rosewood, isn't as dense or hard, so the dynamic range is actually shortened a little bit. However, with the ideas that we had with rosewood versus mahogany, just because the dynamic range has shrunk doesn't mean the amount of tone in that range has too. So now we're looking at rosewood, American Black Walnut, mahogany. Can you guess where sapelli sits? Sapelli, which is the cousin of mahogany, very fast growing tree in relation to other trees, and very densely populated, I mean. Native to Africa, sapelli is a little bit harder than mahogany and in a lot more abundance. So don't be fooled when you see an all solid sapelli guitar for $900,000. It doesn't mean it's a bad guitar, it just means those Tonewoods aren't very expensive. They can still sound very good. For example, the Martin Rhodes series uses sapelli instead of mahogany, keeps the costs around $1,000 for an all solid Mexican made Martin, which sound really good because sapelli is a great tonewood. Now sapelli, being a little bit harder than mahogany, has a bit more dynamic range. So as you can guess, Rosewood, American Black Walnut, sapelli, mahogany. You still get a nice woody tone out of your sapelli, however, it is a little bit more dynamic than mahogany while losing out on a little bit of that richness in the mid-range. American Black Walnut is like the sapelli to Rosewood. It's not as dynamic in the full range, but you will get a bit more mid and a bit more warmth in that mid-range with walnut than you would over rosewood. So I've been talking a lot this video. Can you blame me? There's a lot of information out there. I'm trying to sum it up as quickly as possible so you can hear it rather than hear me talk about it. But before I can let you hear me play, I do need to say something, and that is about 94.8% of you, I think the number is right, aren't subscribed. Could you please subscribe? I don't want to sound like I'm begging or pandering here, but I've had multiple videos surpass 4,000 views, and we got 1 subscriber from each of them. It would just mean a lot if you could hit that subscribe button if you liked the video. If you enjoyed what I said, what I talked about, my playing, hit a like, you know, throw something in the comments. You know, that's my favorite part about these videos, is I see people saying like, oh, you know, thank you so much, man, you educated me, I bought a Seagull, and now I haven't looked back. You know, and that stuff to me, if my brain, which is packed full of random information and information on guitars especially, if you can use that to make the right purchase for you, then I am so happy. So any stories like that in the comments is the best. Like, I love those. guys. So, which one did you like more? Mahogany or rosewood? Let me know down in the comments section below. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.